Hello everyone and welcome back to round 10 of the Magnus Invitational. We are continuing with the match Hikaru Nakamura versus Fabiano Caruana. This is game 2, and in game 1 Fabiano won after a fairly long struggle, but in the end he prevailed. And now Nakamura needs a win to get back into the match, and he has the white pieces. So let's see what he decided to play. He went for d4. And d5 by Fabi. We have c4 and now c6. It's as if all the players agreed that, made some sort of a gentleman's agreement that everyone has to go for the Slav. But okay, we haven't had the Slav in quite some time. Knight of 3, knight of 6, and now queen to c2. We have d captures on c4, we have queen captures on c4 recapturing, and now bishop to f5. This is the most often played line. g3 and now e6 as the bishop has been developed. We have bishop to g2 by Nakamura and bishop to e7 preparing to castle. We have castles by both sides, and now queen to b3 putting pressure on the b7 pawn, and Fabi defends with queen b6 and also offers a queen trade. So knight b to d2, Nakamura continues development. He says, okay, if you trade I can recapture with the knight, and Fabi does the same, knight b to d7. We have knight to c4, now attacking the queen, and now this is a fairly often played line amongst top players. Either queen captures or queen to a6 are the main moves here. Fabi decides to move the queen, and now bishop to f4, with ideas of trading off the dark square bishop with bishop to d6. We have knight to b6 by Fabi, with a double attack on the knight here, and now bishop to d6 as planned. So now the point is, of course, if you go for the knight, then bishop captures comes with an attack on the rook, and once you move it, you mess up the black's pawn structure, and white is, of course, better. So instead, Fabi goes rook f to e8, doesn't allow this capture to come with an attack on the rook. And now we have knight f to d2. There is one game in the database where bishop captures on e7 was played, but here rook f to e8, knight f to d2 now is a new move in the position. So what I wanted to say is that some of you have been asking me in the comment section, what is this whole new move thing? So basically, when I say it is as of move 14 that we have a completely new game, I'm using the website called 365chess.com. There are a lot of different websites that offer big chess databases. However, this one is free, and I'm using this one. For example, I tried using one that's like $5 a month, and the difference between using that one and the free one is that the one that you pay will of course show you more games that reach this position, but those will be even games between 700 players, 2000 players, 2200 players, and the free one only gives you top tier games, so like maybe 2450 rating and above. So as mostly we're showing games by elite players, I decided to use that one. So that's what I mean when I say a new move has been played. But yeah, knight f to d2, a new move in the position, and now rook a to d8 with a double attack on the bishop now. So bishop captures on e7, rook captures, and now e3, just defending the d4 pawn. We have knight captures on c4, knight captures on c4, and now bishop to e4. Fabi finds a way to trade off everything. We have rook f to c1, and now Fabi just goes for the trade. Bishop captures, king captures, and finally gets his c5 move in. Point is, after white captures, you can just deliver check and recapture the pawn, which is what Nakamura goes for. We have d captures on c5, queen c6 check, king moves, and now recaptures the pawn. We have queen to a3, offering a queen trade now, and rook to c7. Fabi says, okay, but I would like to have my rook on the c file while we do that. So Nakamura trades. We have queen captures, rook captures, and now a nice little trick by Nakamura saying to Fabi that you have some back rank issues, knight to d6. Point is that, of course, after captures, which was played in the game, you cannot you cannot capture here because of rook to c8, and this will now result into checkmate after black gives up all of these pieces. So Fabi realizes that there are in fact some back rank issues, so he creates some room for the king. We have g5. And now rook to c8. Nakamura forces a trade here. We have rook captures, knight captures, and now he will try to use his knight to undermine these pawns. So a6 and knight to d6 now. We have b5 as the b7 pawn is under attack, and now knight to b7. We have king to f8. Fabi now starts bringing his king into the game, but knight to c5 now goes after the a6 pawn. We have a5. Now knight to b3, going after the a5 pawn. So a4, and now knight to d4, going after the b5 pawn. So b4 by Fabi, and now again knight to c6, going after the b4 pawn. So now it's a question whether you push a3 or b3. Do you want to trade? Do you want to block the position? Fabi decides for a3, and of course Nakamura blocks it with b3. We have knight to d5 now. Just defending the pawn here, and the problem with just kicking it away with e4 is that you can go knight to c3, and then after captures you can just grab the e4 pawn, you can return to c3, and then you will put a lot of pressure on the a2 pawn, so white's knight will be stuck here defending it. So instead Nakamura finds a very nice idea. F3 now gives up the e3 pawn, which Fabi captures, and now only now he captures on b4. So knight to d1, Fabi also wants to now get to the c3 square to put more pressure on the a2 pawn, and king to f1 by Nakamura. We have knight to c3, and now king to e1. We have king to e7, and now king to d2. So as you can see, this plan Fabi chose to hunt the pawns with the knight. That Nakamura chose allowed him to get this pawn all the way here, and now he will try to undermine it with his king and the knight, of course. So knight to b5 gets the knight out of the way, but king d3. We have e5, and now knight to c2. So now puts pressure on the pawn here, and the threat is of course king c4. You kick away the knight and you pick up the a3 pawn. So king e6 by Fabi, and now king to c4 with the idea that we mentioned. Knight d6 check, and now king to c5. With h5 by Fabi, he wants to start, of course, pushing and create a pass pawn of his own. And knight captures on a3. And by doing this, Nakamura is not only up a pawn, but he has two connected pass pawns on the queen side. So g4, Fabi of course wants to create some pass pawns as well. So f captures, we have h captures, and now knight to c2. And here we are going to have a race. Nakamura will be pushing on the queen side and Fabi on the king side. So f5, and now before pushing, first knight to e3. Which is just a very useful move, as it prevents black from just continuing to push as you lose the pawn here. So first knight to e4 check, king to c6, and now knight to f6, guarding the pawn here, so you can now start pushing. But now who's faster? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We have a4 by Nakamura, and now f4 by Fabi. And now not capturing, but rather knight to f1, keeping an eye on the g3 pawn. We have f3, now creating a pass pawn, and a5 now. And here, knight to d5. And it's, again, a very fragile position. So there's only one move that wins for Nakamura here. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this move while I give you a couple of seconds to test your endgame skills, of course. So for those of you that found the correct idea, congratulations on being an excellent endgame player. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's not a6. a6 actually runs into a very devious drawing line, but I will show it as it's very interesting. a6, now just knight before check. King moves, and now you pick up the a6 pawn. So, you pick up the a6 pawn, king captures, and now you go to e4. And now the problem is, after b4, it seems like white is, of course, much faster. Problem is king d5. You're going to push b5, king to d4, and now b6 runs into e3. And here's a problem. Now you either give up the knight, and then this pawn will queen, but it will queen with check. That's the problem, and that's why black is faster. And on the other hand, if you go b7, e2, and don't move the knight, then again e captures on f1 will again come with check, and you will be much faster. b8 queen, and now this is just winning. You're going to deliver check, and it doesn't matter where the white king goes. You're just going to go check, king moves, and now checked on b1, and that's the game. You're just going to capture, and now of course with your king being so close to the white pawns, it's a very easy game to win. You're just going to play f2, and that's it. And on the other hand, if this isn't winning, maybe king to b7 is. But the problem is that e4 is just too strong for black. So the move that wins the game is king to c5, and this is what Nakamura played. Now Fabi continued with e4, but Nakamura knows that there's always time to push the a pawn. King to d4 now. So sometimes in order to really go forward, you have to go back. So now that there's a question of the e4 pawn, there's really not much you can do here. You cannot defend it because then you lose the knight, and you have to play something. So king d6, but now king captures on e4. We have king to c5, and here Nakamura just played a6, and it was in this position that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, and the game 2 goes to Nakamura, which means that he's back in the match. So very exciting stuff, and extremely well played endgame by Nakamura. So here you resigned as there is nothing you can do. You cannot prevent the a pawn while also keeping an eye on your pawns here. You might go knight c7, but then just a7, and after king b6 to go after the pawn. Now you go king f4, and you start gobbling up pawns. King captures on a7. You're gonna go captures here. And after f2, it's not a problem, just h4, you push all of these pawns. You're going to capture this pawn as well. You are up to 3 pawns, of course, completely winning. So yeah, after this a6 move, Fabio resigned, and a great victory for Hikaru Nakamura, who now equalizes the match. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoy it. I would like to thank Terence Nolan, Jan Oraske, Steve Vaca, Thomas Connors, and Roland Moller for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Magnus Invitational until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.